Have you ever just stared at a chart and felt completely lost, like you're just drowning in a sea of lines and colors and numbers? Well, today, we're going to fix that. We are going to turn that data chaos into crystal clarity. Let's dive into how you can make your data tell a clear, compelling story.
Okay, take a look at this. Really look at it. What is this even trying to say? You've got multiple axes fighting each other, a rainbow of confusing colors, and just so much visual noise. If you're getting a headache just looking at it, trust me, you are not alone. This right here is the exact kind of data chaos we are here to conquer.
And this isn't just some one-off bad chart, This is a really common problem. We get so focused on collecting all this data that we completely forget the most important part, communicating what it actually means. But don't worry, there's a way out of this mess. There is a clear path forward.
And that path, it's built on a really solid foundation. We're going to walk through 6 core principles that are basically our toolkit for transforming that confusing mess into something clear, powerful, and honestly persuasive.
So here it is. This is our roadmap. We're talking about understanding your audience, picking the right visual for the job, the golden rule that less is more, making the important stuff stand out, why looks actually matter, and finally, tying it all together to tell a real story. We're going to focus on just a few of these to totally transform our messy chart.
All right, our first step on this journey is a big one: choosing the right visualization. You have to get this right before you do anything else. You've got to pick the right tool for the job. So, should you be using a graph or just a simple table?
It really boils down to this. If you need someone to look up one specific, precise number, sure, a table works just fine. But if you want them to see a trend, or understand a relationship, or get a comparison in a split second, in other words, if you actually want to tell a story, a graph is almost always going to be your best bet. It just speaks the brain's visual language.
And this right here, this is a warning about one of the cardinal sins of chart design, the dual-axis graph. I know it seems clever, right? Like you're saving space. But what you're really doing is asking your audience's brain to process 2 totally different scales at the same time. It's incredibly confusing and can even be super misleading. Just stick to one clear story per chart, please.
All right, we've got our principles down. Now it's time to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty. We are officially heading into the workshop. We're going to apply that less is more principle and just start stripping away all the junk that's hiding the real message in our data.
So, our guiding philosophy here is something called the data-ink ratio. Think of it like this. Every single drop of ink, every pixel on your chart should have a reason to be there. If it's not showing you data or helping you understand that data, then it's just noise. Our mission is to get rid of the noise and maximize that signal.
First up on the chopping block, that heavy border around the chart. What is that even doing? It adds 0 information, it's just a box. By getting rid of it, we instantly give our data some room to breathe.
Next, let's talk about these grid lines. When they're this dark and heavy, they're basically building a cage around your data. They're competing for your attention. We don't need them to scream at us, we just need them to provide a little bit of context, quietly, in the background. So let's fade them way back, or even get rid of them completely.
And now for the axes. Do we really need a tick mark and a label for every single point? Absolutely not. All that does is add to the cognitive load. That's just a fancy term for how much brain power you have to use just to understand what you're looking at. By simplifying the axes, we focus attention right where it belongs, on the actual shape of the data.
And wow, just look at the difference. On the left, you've got high noise, total chaos. On the right, high signal. We haven't changed a single data point, but just by removing the clutter, the story is already starting to emerge. It's so much clearer, isn't it? It's amazing.
So our chart is clean. That's a huge step. But we can do better. A clean chart is good, but a chart that actually takes the viewer by the hand, guides their eye, and tells them exactly what to look at. Well, that's a masterpiece.
Okay, time for a quick challenge. You've got 10 seconds. I want you to look at this block of numbers and tell me how many 3s you can find. Ready, set, go. It's tough, right? Your eyes are just jumping all over the place.
Okay, now how about this? Boom. Instantly, your brain just sees them. They pop right out. You don't even have to look for them. That's the power of what designers call pre-attentive attributes, like color. Our brains are hardwired to notice these things before we even consciously think about it.
So let's take that incredibly powerful idea and apply it back to our chart. Instead of that meaningless rainbow of colors, we're going to make most of the data a neutral gray. And then we'll use one single, strong color to highlight the most important trend or data point. We are literally telling our audience's eyes where to look.
And here it is, the big reveal. On the left, that mess we started with, a chart that basically just throws data at you and kind of shrugs, asking, so, what happened? And on the right, our masterpiece. It's clean, it's focused, and it uses color to confidently declare, this is what happened, and this is the part that matters. What a transformation!
Now, these principles, they're not just for single charts. They apply everywhere data is shown. Let's zoom out for a second and look at a bigger format, like a data poster, and see how these same ideas of clarity and story art work.
See? It's all the same stuff we've been talking about. Ensure a logical flow and use headings. That's just our hierarchy principle. Use white space to guide the eye. That is less is more in action. These rules aren't just for charts. They're universal rules for clear communication.
Look, if you take only one single thing away from all this, let it be this. The goal of communicating with data isn't to show off how much work you did or how much data you collected. The real goal is to reduce complexity so that your message can finally be heard, loud and clear. Less really truly is more.
So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have these principles, the next time you see a chart, in the news, in a report, anywhere, are you just going to passively look at the data points? Or are you going to actively look for the story and be able to tell if that story is being told well or if it's still trapped in chaos?